Coronado has a very rich military history, and today we're talking about arguably one of the most historical houses ever built by a general in 1890s. Today I'm joined with AJ Powers of Powers Premier. AJ, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you have an incredible story. I know we were talking a little bit behind stage, and it is spectacular. So bring everyone up to speed about this incredible house.
Where do you even start? Essentially, 1106 4th on Coronado. It was a building that was built in 1898. The owner was a military general. His name's Churchill, Mendel Churchill. And so what happened was he was in the Civil War. He got out, made a bunch of money in iron and banking and the railroads. And his wife ends up dying, and he comes and visits Coronado and kind of falls in love with it and buys,
doesn't,
yeah, right? Probably a little different in the 1800s, but still. So he buys this triangle-shaped lot, and it's right next to the Hotel Del. Today it's actually Vigolucci's. And so he ends up having Irving Gill, a really famous architect, build him this beautiful home on what was 1308 Orange. And so he ends up living there and dying 4 years later. And his niece, Mary, ends up taking over the home, and she marries a really famous person here in San Diego, actually, Bernard McKenzie, who's the owner of Western Metals, which is at the Potter Stadium. And he ends up dying 10 years later. So what happens is this developer ends up purchasing the home, and he wants to demo it. He wants to build another hotel. And someone comes in and says, last minute, I'm going to buy it, I'll move it, let us take this property. So they end up in 1928 taking this home, moving it from Orange over to Pomona. It took them 3 weeks. And then
back then, I'm sure it's not an easy feat to
I can
move
only
an entire
imagine.
house. Okay?
Yeah, for sure. So they end up moving this home from 1308 Orange over to Pomona, and it becomes Escuela del Coronado, which is like a boarding school for kids. And it stays that way for about 15 years, and then it ends up moving again from Pomona to where it is today, 1106 4th. And that's 1943,
Wow.
And it actually was the only, it's called a home use program in World War II where military families and workers actually stayed in this building. So it went from being a single family home essentially to a boarding school and then a 9-unit complex where, again, the military stayed there during World War II. It's just got a ton of history. It's been moved multiple times. I mean, between the general, the architect, moving it around a couple times. I mean, it's definitely the most incredible story I've ever had with a home that I've sold.
Definitely. And I mean, you said using it as a World War II, they're boarding for the military. There's such a strong presence within Coronado.
Yeah.
You drive down and there's just flag, it's so patriotic. So if you want to go into a little bit of the history of Coronado and the community within Coronado.
Well, I mean, anyone that's been there knows the military is a big presence, whether it be today or in the 1800s. It's always been a big part of not only Coronado, but San Diego's history. I mean, we are definitely one of, if not the largest military areas in the United States. And so it's just a matter of like perfect home, great scenario that it's got so much history between, being built by a military, staying in the military, being that even after the general passed, it became a part of the military's history with this home use program during World War II. So it's really just a cool property, and it's pretty neat now too, because we even talked about where it is today. I mean, it went from being single family 9 units to now it's 7 units. So a couple of years ago, a developer purchased it, and they went through and basically renovated the whole interior. So it's got like that old world charm with brand new modern amenities on the inside, and it's really cool. Like they kept all the 1900s pull windows, and it's got the same facade and exterior, but you walk in and it's just like a brand new building with all that character. It's super cool.
The perfect Coronado home.
Exactly.
So what are some of the your favorite features of this house?
I mean, it has to be location. Being at 4th and Orange, you can go both ways on the island walking and be there in 15 or 20 minutes, either the Del or down. We were at Coronado Brewing Company the other day, so it's so convenient. I know everywhere in Coronado is kind of busy and loud, so some people are like, well, 4th, it's a busier street, but I'd rather be able to jump right on the bridge and get off the island if I wanted to, or again, like when we were at Coronado Golf Cars, the fact that we could just go back and forth in 5 minutes.
Such a unique lifestyle down there. I feel like it's such a good community. There's shops everywhere, restaurants, all walkable, or just a golf cart right away.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to beat. I mean, the interior is beautiful too. It's got really nice finishes, 2-bed, 2-bath. about 1,000 square feet, and it's also a unique one for the building where it's set on the back of the building. There's no adjoining walls with any other units, so it's
great.
private and quiet, and I think it's, especially for the price point, one of the best deals on the island right now.
Yeah. So what's it going for?
We're currently listed at $849.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean, to get on under $1 million
Even
right
anywhere
now,
in San Diego, that's incredible.
yeah, it's basically like entry level, right? I mean,
Yeah.
$849 to get on the island's a pretty great deal.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So how did you, or who do you think would be the perfect buyer for this house?
So my client that purchased it, I helped him about a couple of years ago. He bought it as a second home,
Okay.
and he lives in Forest Ranch. So for him, it's a great opportunity to invest here. And then
Definitely.
also, if we want to get out of the heat and go enjoy the island, it was great for him. I think it could be perfect for a small family or retired, starting a family. I mean, it's not too small that you couldn't have a kid, but it's also pretty manageable at about 1,000 square feet. It's not like you have to spend all week taking care of the property.
Right.
You come inside, do your thing, and then go enjoy the island.
And are there some great, if someone's coming in with kids, are there great schools?
Yeah, I mean, Coronado's got great schools. I mean, it's a pretty small space. So when you talk about community and schools and parks and all that kind of stuff, I mean, it's an amazing place to raise a family if you're lucky enough.
Good. Well, I have no doubt that you're going to find the perfect buyer. So if they're looking to contact you, where can they reach you?
My cell phone, 760-819-7100, or they can email me at aj@powerspremier.com.
Perfect. Well, AJ, thank you so much for sharing your incredible story.
Thank you.
So much history in Coronado and with your listing as well.
Yes.
And if you're selling your home and want to feature your story, be sure to email us at info@storyhousesd.com. And we'll see you next time.